Somewhere on your street, a crow already knows your face. Not the way your neighbor knows your face, glancing, forgetting, moving on. The crow's memory of you is filed, cross-referenced, and shared. It knows which house you live in. It knows what time you leave for work. It knows whether you have ever thrown a rock or bread. And it has told other crows, crows you have never met, crows that were not even alive when you did whatever it is you did. Every person on your street exists inside a map that no human has ever seen. That map is drawn in the mind of a bird you probably ignore. By the end of this, you will not be able to walk outside the same way again.
Most people assume birds see them the way they see a passing cloud, present, then gone, unremembered. You might believe the crow on your fence today is a stranger to the crow that visited last spring. That assumption feels safe. It is also wrong, and the science behind why it's wrong is stranger than most people expect. What if the bird outside your window has known you longer than some of your closest friends? Crows live 20 years or more in the wild. Many stay on the same few acres their entire lives. That means the crow watching you take out the trash this morning may have been watching your predecessor do the exact same thing a decade ago, and comparing notes.
In 2008, researchers at the University of Washington ran an experiment that changed how scientists think about crow cognition. Wildlife biologist John Marsliff and his team wore realistic latex masks, one styled as a dangerous caveman, one as a neutral face, while trapping and briefly handling wild crows on campus. Then they released the birds and walked away, unmasked, for years. The crows never forgot the dangerous mask. When researchers wore it again, sometimes years later, crows that had never personally been trapped scolded and mobbed them anyway. Birds that hadn't even hatched yet during the original trapping. The memory had outlived the individual crow that formed it.
That detail is the one worth sitting with. The crows weren't just remembering a threat, they were teaching it. Parent crows appear to pass facial recognition of dangerous humans to their young, and mob behavior spreads through a crow's social network the way a rumor spreads through a neighborhood group chat. Marsloff's follow-up tracking found the dangerous face reputation spreading blocks away from the original trapping site, carried by crows that were never trapped themselves, warning crows that had never met a researcher at all. So when you feed a crow or startle one, you are not writing a memory in one bird. You are writing an entry into a record the whole local population can read. Here is where it goes further than most people expect. Face recognition alone would already be remarkable, but crows don't file your face in isolation. They file it with a location. You might assume a crow's memory works like a photo. It doesn't. It works more like a pinned map. Researchers studying corvid spatial memory, building on decades of work by Cambridge University's Nicola Clayton on scrub jays since 1998, have shown these birds don't just remember what happened. They remember what happened, where, and when, a capacity called episodic-like memory. Applied to your street, that means the crow isn't storing dangerous person. It's storing dangerous person, third house, driveway, weekday mornings. Multiply that by every house a crow's territory touches and every human who passes through it. Mail carriers, dog walkers, the kid who throws things, the woman who leaves out bread crusts on Tuesdays. And what emerges isn't a single memory. It's a living, updating map of your entire street, sorted by threat and reward, held collectively across a family group. That map exists whether or not you've ever noticed the crow at all. You've been logged. So has everyone you know. This is why longtime crow researchers describe their study populations less like animals and more like small, watchful communities with long institutional memory. It doesn't stop at threat and reward either. Christopher Templeton's research on chickadees at the University of Washington found that the pitch and repetition of alarm calls encode specific information about predator danger, more D notes for a more dangerous threat. Crows use similarly graded, information-rich calls, which means the map isn't just stored, It's broadcast constantly in a language you've been hearing your whole life without knowing you were being talked about. That harsh call at dusk isn't noise. It may be a specific coded report about a specific person at a specific place on your street, passed from one crow to the next before you've even noticed anything happened.
There's a reason this research keeps drawing comparisons to human social memory, and it isn't sentimentality, it's structural. What crows are doing, tagging individuals, sharing reputations across a network, updating those reputations generationally, is the same basic architecture human communities use to decide who is trustworthy and who isn't. And it raises a question most people never think to ask about the birds outside their own window. If the crow remembers you, what exactly does it remember you doing? For most of us, the honest answer is, we don't know. We've never had reason to wonder.
This is also where the story turns, quietly, from surveillance into something closer to relationship. Marsloff's team found that crows fed consistently by the same person over time began to distinguish that person from strangers with clear behavioral warmth, approaching sooner, calling less defensively, sometimes even appearing to wait near that person's usual path. The same memory system that preserves grudges also preserves trust. It just needs longer, gentler evidence to build. A crow's map of your street isn't fixed. It's a living document, and every small interaction you have is a line being added to it, whether or not you meant to write one.
So go back to that crow on the fence outside your window. It isn't a stranger passing through. It's a resident of sorts, one with a longer institutional memory of your street than most of the humans living on it. It knows the rhythms of your driveway. It may know which of your neighbors it can trust and which one it warns its children about. It has, in its own way, been quietly studying you back. The mental map isn't metaphorical. It's a functioning cognitive structure built from individual recognition, episodic memory, and shared vocal reporting, layered over the physical geography of the exact place you call home. You've spent your life watching birds from your window. This whole time, at least one of them has been doing the same thing, in reverse, with better memory for faces than you have. If that changes how you look at the crow on your fence, it should also change how you think about the smaller birds at your feeder, because face recognition isn't unique to crows. Next week's video goes inside the chickadees' coded alarm calls and what they're actually saying about you in real time, every single day. If you want to understand exactly what your backyard birds are saying when they call out as you walk past, that one is next. You can start your own entry in that map, deliberately. Feed consistently from the same spot, ideally at the same rough time. Crows and other corvids build trust faster through predictable, repeated positive contact than through one large gesture. Avoid sudden movements near a nest or fledgling. That single moment can outlive you in the local memory. And watch for a bird that seems to linger near your specific routine. That's not coincidence. That's recognition. New video every week. I'll see you in the yard.